Did you know in the UK we have two sleeper trains? One that takes you from London to Cornwall and one that takes you from London to Scotland. Let's go on both of these trains and see which one is more accessible for wheelchair users. But before I show you the experience, let's talk about how to book, because it's a battle and it's part of the experience. So if you go to the GWR website, if you're booking just a regular cabin, you can just book on the website like you'd book any other train ticket. But if you need to book the wheelchair accessible cabin, you need to call up. That's an accessibility barrier in and of itself, because wheelchair users could also be deaf, they could have autism or another condition where they struggle to communicate via phone. But the main issue affecting me is the fact it takes forever. It isn't a case of calling up, hey, can I book the wheelchair cabin on this date? Sure, what are your details? Details. Okay, done. It's much more complicated. I can't remember everything that was said on that phone call, but I just remember them having to go through what felt like pages of disclaimers and asking my consent at every single step. So yeah, it was pretty endless. Compare this to my experience booking the Caledonian Sleeper train. It was as simple as going onto their website, clicking accessible options, finding an accessible room, booking, just like anyone else. Now back to London. Okay, so I am now in the Great Western Railway first class lounge at London Paddington. And fun fact about the Night Riviera, if you're booked into a cabin, you get access to the first class lounge here at London Paddington. So we've come in, we're charging devices, I'm charging my chair and my laptop. And yeah, you can get a free drink, free snack, and relax before you get onto your train. In the lounge, you'll also find an accessible shower and toilet. And in the main station, you'll find a bigger accessible toilet with a hoist, changing table, and this cool height-adjustable sink. So the train departs at 11:45 p.m, but you can board from 10:30-ish. This video doesn't do it justice, but the ramp to board is so steep. Like, on the way down, my chair skidded. It was a bit scary. I think this is the case for all GWR trains. I actively avoid GWR for this reason. Okay, terrible lighting, but we'll make do. So I'm on board. I'm in the accessible cabin right now, so superimpose some footage of what it looks like. So you get given a key card to tap into the room like a hotel. Then when you come inside, it's quite spacious. There's enough room for me to do a 360 in my chair. There's a wardrobe which comes with a handy lower hanger, which is at wheelchair height. There's plenty of plug sockets as well, with one next to the wardrobe, one next to the bed, and also one a little higher up the wall if you had someone on the top bunk. Here's a really clever feature. So this thing that appears to be a desk actually opens up to become your sink, so you don't have to go to the shared bathroom to brush your teeth. And you can also easily change the temperature in the room with this little dial. So a few things to know if you are in the accessible cabin. First, you're right next door to the toilet, which is public, so everyone who is habiting along here will use it, and every time it flushes you can hear it very loudly, so that's one thing to be aware of. So earplugs, helpful. Another thing to be aware of is that also just beyond the toilet is a dining car, I think that's what you call it. It is technically accessible for most wheelchairs, so if you're in a manual chair you'll be fine. If you're in a bigger power chair, it's quite narrow, so unfortunately I couldn't get through in it. I do have the privilege of being ambulatory, so I was able to get my stick out and walk, but that's obviously not the case for everyone, so that's just one thing to be aware of if you are a power chair user. Good morning. I've just been woken up with some breakfast and it is 7:20 in the morning. So first things first, how did I sleep? Okay, given that I'm on a train. I think the mattress is very comfortable. I think the one negative is it's very narrow. I am a bigger woman, so naturally that was going to be a bit of a challenge for me. But it is, smaller than a sort of standard single bed. I'd say it's maybe like 2/3 the size of a standard single bed, so it's quite small, but comfy pillow, comfy mattress, and the ability to control the temperature in the room meant that the room was at a good temperature all night. The rocking, actually, I found quite soothing, like you're a baby again, getting rocked in a rocking chair. And it wasn't that noisy. I definitely think the Scotland train, the Caledonian Sleeper, is noisier than this one was, so that's a win. As for breakfast, you get lots of options, everything from a roll, a sausage roll I think it is, to a pastry, to granola. I opted for, there we go, fruit pot. And then you also get the choice of tea, coffee or fruit juice, so I've gone for an apple juice. They were also kind enough to put some little biscuits in my little bag as well.
Another thing to mention is when you arrive in Penzance, like at Paddington, there is a first class lounge that you get access to, and there is a shower in there which you can use.
So I'm now in the Caledonian Sleeper lounge at London Euston, and I hope you can hear me okay. I left my microphone at home, but we'll make do. So similar to the Night Riviera, this is a space you can come a couple of hours before boarding. So if you're going to Edinburgh or Glasgow, you can come here from 8:45, and you come here earlier if you're getting the trains to Inverness or Aberdeen or Fort William. So you have access to toilets and shower facilities. You also get complimentary soft drinks, hot drinks and snacks. But something different here with the Caledonian Sleeper that you don't get for the Night Riviera is they have a whole menu with hot food and alcohol. So I'm not going to indulge, but if that's something that tickles your fancy, you can get that on the Caledonian. So that's one thing to know. So I'm just going to relax now. I'm going to charge my wheelchair and we'll get boarding probably in about 2 hours time. Okay, I'm now in the room, so let's superimpose some clips of what it looks like.
To access your room, you're given a key card like you are in a hotel, and here's a 360 of how it looks. It's surprisingly spacious, and oh my god, as is demonstrated by me doing donuts. A few features of the room: there's this sink and mirror, and then a table which you can fold out, so it's good to work on or have your breakfast in the morning.
First thing I noticed when I came in was that it's really nice and warm in here. Clearly they turned the heating on. You can change the temperature, but it's nice to be able to walk in and it already be warm, and you not have to walk into like a stone cold room which takes a little while to heat up. So that's a very thoughtful touch of them. Also a nice touch is when you come in, there are a few freebies on your bed, including a little bar of chocolate. I'm on a diet, but I'm still in my deficit if I have this, so I will be having this before bed. They also give you a sleep kit, so let's open it together and see what's inside. I'm expecting, yeah, an eye mask. Oh, and it's Scotland colours, kilt colours. So eye mask, and then also some earplugs. You'll also find one of these on your bed, which is basically where you say when and what you want for breakfast, but you can choose what time, you can choose whether you want it in your room or if you want it in the club car. And then you can choose from a hot drink or fruit juice, and then there's quite a few different options as well here. These breakfast options are really good, to be fair. Like, I'm looking at this vegan cooked breakfast and it's very impressive. Vegan bacon, vegan sausage, spiced beans and a portobello mushroom, and then either with a scone or a gluten-free roll. Very nice. So yeah, you basically hang this outside your door so they know what and when you want it.
They also have a really nice onboard club car which is accessible in a wheelchair.
Good morning, I've just been woken up to some breakfast, so let's take a look together. So I opted for an apple juice, and I think it's the continental breakfast I went for, so you get a little bit of everything. So you get some fresh fruit, you get a little strawberry yogurt, knife and fork, jam pot, and a little pancake. Oh, it's very warm, that's what we like to see. There we go. So, how did I sleep? Really quite well. I woke up a few times in the night, but mainly I slept through. Bed was very comfy. The earplugs really helped with the noise, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed with how I slept. Let's end with some comparisons and scores. Booking is 100% a win for the Caledonian Sleeper. It's quick, easy, and the process for disabled passengers is the exact same for non-disabled passengers. So I'm going to give 5 stars to Caledonian Sleeper and just 1 star for the Night Riviera, for obvious reasons. Pre-board facilities are pretty even for me. On one hand, the Caledonian has the advantage of you can get hot food and alcohol in the lounge, which isn't on offer for the Night Riviera. Whereas the Night Riviera has the advantage of letting you into the lounge earlier, and also I didn't run into the problem with the Night Riviera that I did with the Caledonian, in that if the lounge is too full, you won't get allowed in, and quite often the lounge is too full. So I'm going to give them both 4 stars. Now, onboard categories. So the first one is the onboard lounge/dining room, and this win again goes to the Caledonian Sleeper purely because I couldn't get into the Night Riviera in my power chair. I can't comment on how good the food or drink is because I didn't try it on either of them, but I know the Caledonian does have the advantage of there being hot food options, which the Night Riviera doesn't have. So for that reason, I suppose Caledonian just goes a little bit higher. So again, let's give 5 stars to the Caledonian and 2 stars to the Night Riviera. Now, the room. Mattress comfort, I'm going to give the win to the Night Riviera. The mattress was softer and I didn't wake up with a sore back like I did on the Caledonian. I did find the narrow mattress a little bit uncomfortable just because I roll a lot in my sleep. I'm a bigger woman and I was fearing that I would fall off in the middle of the night. But if you are a normal sized person, it's not a problem. Where the Caledonian fails in terms of comfort, it succeeds in the fact that there's a double bed. So for that reason, I'm going to give the Night Riviera a 4 and the Caledonian a 3. Noise on board. I'm going to give the win, again, to the Night Riviera. Yes, there's the issue in the fact that you're next to the toilet, but after, I'd say, midnight, people kind of stop going to the toilet, and the noise on the tracks is quieter than it is on the Caledonian. Obviously, there is going to be noise. You are on a train. So for that reason, I'm going to give the Night Riviera a 3.5 and the Caledonian a 2. So adding all my scores up, I think it's pretty obvious that my favourite is the Caledonian Sleeper. But overall, I think both were mainly an accessible and enjoyable experience. I think going on a sleeper train is such a unique, fun thing to do. And I think it's something that everyone should try at least once. So if you're a wheelchair user or if you're not a wheelchair user, I hope you found this video informative and interesting. And let me know in the comments, would you take this train? Have you taken this train? Thanks for watching.